Hey, good afternoon. How you guys doing? It's Friday, March 3rd, and it's Gus Tucker here with Financial Freedom Fridays. How's your week been? How you doing? Hey, we're in March, guys. January, February, gone. We're now in March. Did it go by quick for you? Man, it went by fast for me. Now, today is a very emotional day for me. Today, March 3rd, my mother would be 90 years old today. She was born 3/3/33. Hey Sheila, how you doing? She was born 3/3/33. So she passed away 11 years ago. So today she would be 90 years old. And I don't know about you, but what happens when people pass away or opportunities are gone? You realize how awesome they were and how much you undervalued them when they were alive. My mother was, looking back on it, one of the wisest people I knew on the planet. She was also tenacious. She raised us as a single mom. She raised us. She was tenacious, man. She was like a pit bull when it came to, looking out for her sons, man. There was nothing she wouldn't do. She worked hard, and we were a team coming up together. We were a team, right? Because sometimes we had to be latchkey kids. She had to leave us at the house. Now, y'all know what y'all can do. Y'all can't do. Y'all can't get no trouble. Get no people called here. Get y'all took away from. You know what I mean? So it was something, man. But my mother, man, and she lived with us the last 15 years of her life, and that was a blessing. But here we go, Financial Freedom Friday. So look, I'm going to do a recap, boil down to what we went through last week because it's important and it's going to set us up for the workshop we're going to do. We're going to do here in April. So so what I want to say to you, the first thing is on the next slide is um, either I can advance it or you can advance it, however we want to do this. Yeah. So why are we doing this? We want to support you and to apply the things we're talking about here today to your life to gain financial independence. Because I'm telling you, life is much better when you don't have financial concerns. Money doesn't solve every problem. It really doesn't. But here's what let's let money solve the problems that money can solve. That'll give you much more time, much more emotional and spiritual bandwidth to deal with the problems that money can't solve. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you're trying to solve the money problems, plus all the emotional, spiritual, and other things that happen at the same time, you kind of feel overwhelmed. You understand what I'm saying? You've been there. I've been there. So let's get all the money stuff out the way, so we got time to deal with the important stuff. Does that make sense? And then we want to start the next generation off on a higher level. Does that make sense? We want to start the next generation off at a higher level. And that's what these workshops are going to be about, okay, in April. So next slide. And so here's the deal. We really got to check our attitudes and our actions. I was meeting with my business team this morning, and we were talking about taking responsibility. Failure is a part of the process of moving forward. Failure is a part of the process of moving forward. You got to take responsibility for what's happening in your life. You can't like point to somebody else. In the garden, there was only Adam and Eve, and they were the only two people on the planet, and both of them found somebody else to blame. Adam blamed God because he gave her this woman. Eve blamed the serpent, but nobody took responsibility for their actions. Now, we can blame all kind of people for the plight of Black people here in America. And there's a lot of validity to it, right? There's this little thing that happened for 400 years called slavery. It wasn't indentured servitude. It wasn't voluntary. It was slavery, and it was dastardly. It was evil. And we endured it for 400 years. It's a wonder we're still standing. But here's the thing. We can create a better path for ourselves than we got right now. 160 years ago, we controlled about less than 1% of the wealth. That's still true. We need to work together to change it. So the question is, what principles, what keys do we need to apply to experience God's promised land? Yeah, I said it, God's promised land. So I happen to be a person of faith, and I'm not putting that over on you, saying you have to be, but I would ask you to consider the impact of the role that faith can play in your financial situation turning around. And I would say be proud to be a Black person in America. The fact that we're still here is proof of how magnificent we are, that God has made us. Okay? Don't believe the hype that you're a second-class citizen in any way, shape, or form. It's not true. It's a lie. As my mother would say, it's a lie from the pit of hell. That's what she would say all the time. So anyway, next slide, please. So here's the thing. 2 opportunities for you to grow in March and April. One is there's a training that I'm involved in. It's not involved with Black Doctor per se, but this organization did give the CEO of Black Doctor an award last year, and he was very impressed with our the organization. We hold a training called Leading Lights. It's really about developing and refining your purpose. Do you think it's important to know who you are and why you're here? And to know why God created you specifically and for what purpose? I want you to think about a word for a second. It's called provision. Provision. Mankind, we spend almost every waking moment thinking about provision. How are we going to provide for ourselves? Whether it be food, shelter, clothing, vacations, car, whatever, travel, healthcare, whatever. All that's about provision. The word provision means pro, for, or toward the vision. Here's something I want you to understand. God always supports his vision. It says in Habakkuk 2:3, write the vision down plain because it comes for an appointed time. If you are walking in your purpose, hello, Stevie Knox. If you are walking in your purpose, that's the vision that God has for you. Guess what? He will provide for that vision, 100%. So would you like to know, to be sure of what your purpose is and how to make sure you're walking in that provision? Come to this Leading Lights training. Hit the QR code right there. Register. It's $99. It should be $9,999. I'll be one of the instructors. We have a couple of PhDs who are experts in this area that'll be instructors, and it's going to be incredible. We've had over 10,000 people do it. In May, we're going to Cyprus to teach it, and then to Cameroon, West Africa, to teach it in May. So we're called upon around the world to teach this training. That's how effective it is. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter what color you are. It's just true. And these are principles and keys that work. I would encourage you to take advantage of it. Next, in April, we're going to be doing what I call a do shop here in during this time frame. So we're going to expand it to an hour. It's going to be a charge. Well, starting by next week, we should have all that worked out. We should have all that worked out and how you can register for it. And we want to make sure we are developing our economy. Okay. And so next slide, we're going to talk about the following things. It's about economic empowerment. Being financially literate, really, I was really thinking about this. It comes down to these things. One, how do you make money? The producer and I were just talking about um, a particular company's business model, how they could change it and maybe create 3 to 4 times the revenue they were creating in a particular part of their business with some of the same things they're already doing, but just shifting it a little bit can make 3 to 4 times the amount of money. So how do you make money? The way you make money is creating value that other people will pay for while leveraging a lifestyle model that's exciting for you. So you create value for people, they're willing to pay for it, and you do it in such a way that it creates a lifestyle that you like. Does that make sense? How do I how do I manage and not waste my money monthly? What goals should I have for managing my money? How much money should I give away? Wait a minute. Why should I be giving any away in the beginning? In the first place, I barely got enough to live on. What do you mean give it away? Yep. There's a reason why you ought to give. And y'all, you see that? That's first. Give, save, invest. In that order. Give, save, invest, and then what? Then you get around spending. And what do you spend after you've given, after you've saved, after you invested? Because giving, saving, investing are planting seeds for your future. They're planting seeds for your future. If you never plant, you never harvest. When you harvest something, what do you harvest? Well, depends on the seed you put in the ground. If you plant green beans, what are you going to harvest? Corn? No, you're going to harvest green beans. How many of y'all want to harvest some money? How many of y'all want to harvest lots of money? How much have you planted? Ah, therein lies the problem. We got to plant some to harvest some. Okay? So give, save, invest, spend. And then how do I structure my wealth and my wisdom, what I've learned, to pass it on to the next generation? That's about legal structures that need to be in place for you to pass it on to the next generation. Does that make sense? We're going to cover all this. Next slide. We're going to cover all this. And here's the thing. You can walk away with a personal plan from this workshop that you yourself can do and execute for $99. Are you serious? There are people that charge $5,000 to $10,000 for a plan like this that you're going to get. What's going to happen? Goals. I'm asking you right now, are your goals written down for this year? For the next 1 to 5 years? For 5 years out? Are your goals written down? Do you know how much those goals cost? Do you know how you're going to make the money to put them into practice? Your budget or your cash flow plan. We're going to suggest some apps that you use to manage that on a regular basis. That you put together a giving, saving, investing plan. So you're sowing those seeds for the future. College, either for your children or your children's children, or some kind of education. Maybe college isn't the right thing for them. Maybe it's something else. Tax-free, okay, long-term care and elder care planning. Like I say, my mom lived with me the last 15 years of her life. The first 10 were not a problem. She's helping out. We had 3 kids. She was helping out with them. She was grandma and this, that, and the other. But the last 5 years, it was more of a caretaker situation. So we were my mother's long-term care plan. Our house was set up so she could have her own little suite and everything, and it was all good. But what if that's not your situation and you can't do that for yourself or your loved ones? How do you take care of that? We need a plan for that. We need to be thinking about it. The earlier, the better. Make sense? Tax-free retirement. Woo. Was talking to a client of mine who are in their 40s, just starting, and we're showing them how to have 6 figures in tax-free retirement money coming in. Aside from their Social Security and anything else they do, to show them how to have tax-free money coming in. I'd like to have 6 figures of money coming in and not pay any tax on it. Zero, zero, zero. Do you know how to do that? And then multi-generational wealth planning. Using powers of attorney, wills and trusts, guardianships, so that your assets, after all this work, is passed on. Okay, Gus, are you telling me for $99 we don't learn how to do this? Yep. Or something like that. We haven't set the price yet, but it's going to be around that. Okay, it's going to be around that. If it was a $199 or $299, it'd still be worth it. Okay, next slide. So here's a sneak peek at some of the concepts we're going to talk about. Okay, here's a sneak peek. So concept number 1, retirement. It used to be that retirement was Social Security and most companies had pensions, where the company would put money away for you to retire on. The company would do it. And you had Social Security, right? And even the 401k plans, they would have money that was going in from the employer. Guess what? Man, that stuff's over. Most companies don't have pensions, and they don't have 401k and other retirement plans that puts money away for you, and you already know what's happening with Social Security. And you might call it social insecurity. Now it's about personally controlling your retirement plans. How can you set up your retirement plan for yourself? How are you going to do that? Well, you're going to use IRAs and other kinds of investments that you personally fund. You're going to have to set up your own pension, and there's a way to do that. And there's a way to use permanent insurance plans also towards your retirement. So being financially educated on how to do those things so you can set up your retirement in this new economy is important, because your company isn't going to take care of you. You've got to take care of you. Does that make sense? So what's your retirement strategy? Do you know how much money you need to retire? Do you know where it's going to come from? Do you know what kind of rates of return you need on your money so that you can keep generating the interest you need to retire on? How are you going to do that? We're going to cover those issues. Okay? How's that sound so far? That's just one topic. Next slide. Next topic. The rules of money. These rules are important. Why are they important? Because they govern your life every day. Compound interest governs your life every day. If you go to bankrate.com, you'll see interest rates have started creeping up. So now the bank several months ago was paying 1% interest. Now you can get 3.5% on savings accounts and CD accounts and things like that. But inflation is also higher than that. So even if you put your money in those things, you're not keeping up with inflation. Here's what the rule of 72 says on compound interest. You take an interest rate, divide it into 72, and it tells you how many years for your money to double. In that first section under the red, 1% interest doubles every 72 years. So if you were 29 years old, your money wouldn't double until you were 101 years old. Does that work for you? Probably not. At 4%, it's going to double every 18 years. So the same 29-year-old puts away $10,000. At 65, they have 40,000 bucks. So let's say this was four different people. The third person gets 6% a year. At age 65, they have $80,000. Person over here in the 12% house ends up with $640,000 at 65. Are there places to get 12%? Yeah, the stock market over time, there's 8 to 9%. There are parts of the stock market that do that every year, except when there are major crashes like in '08 and I believe it was '01. 12% is can be very doable. So your rate of return is important. Then how your money grows. There are fixed accounts like savings accounts, CDs. I call them certificates of depreciation. Okay, there are fixed rates of interest that you get over time. Variable is the stock market where you can't control the returns. You try to be smart so you can understand the variables that cause returns to go up and down. So you become a shrewd investor. But the stock market over time has been 8, 9, maybe 10%. And then there are now something called index funds. Not index funds like stocks, but index funds in some insurance products that have a floor built in and they have a ceiling. That ceilings right now is around 13 to 15%. So you can never lose your principal. All right. So you never lose principal, but it's got a ceiling. And what we found over time is index tends to outperform, except very few variable concepts. Would you like to know how to employ that index strategy for your behalf? So you don't have to worry about losing money ever because there's a floor. We call it market correction protection. Okay. Now there's three kinds of accounts: tax now, tax later, tax advantage. Tax now, you're taxed on the money when it's growing and when you take it out. Tax later is you're not taxed on the money while it's growing, but you're taxed when you take it out. And I always ask people, what would you rather get taxed on, the seed or the harvest? Which is more valuable, the seed or the harvest? The harvest is more valuable because you can sell it at the market for a lot more money. Same thing with your investments. They're more valuable at the end because they've grown. So you're growing your money for the government to take a healthy percentage of it. Do you want to do that? Don't recommend it. Tax advantage, pay tax on your seed, the money you make right now. Then as you're growing it in the harvest, you don't pay on it. So you pay up front, you don't pay while it's growing, and you don't pay when you take it out. Never thought of that. And let's say you retired for 20 years and you made $50,000 a year in retirement. You could be at a 10, 12% tax bracket. That's $6,000 every year for 20 years. You gave the government 120 grand. Would you rather have that money or let the government have it? What benefit did you get from giving them that 120 grand? Over and above if you wouldn't have given it to them. No incremental value in that. So those are three basic rules of money. Next. Oh, mind-blowing slide. Wow, the power of compounding and discipline. What is this? That's 31 days. If you took a penny on day one and doubled it every day for 31 days, look how much money you end up. See it? It goes to 64 cents. Then it's $1.28, $2. We just rounded it. $2.56, $5.12, $10. At the beginning, man, the first 10 days, you're like, man, this is painful. 1 cent, 2 cents, 4 cents. Why in the world am I doing this? Let me take this money out and go do something with it. Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that, because what does that doubling factor do for you? At the end, you got $10.7 million. $10.7 million, guys. Penny doubled every day for 31 days. You got 10 million bucks. Wow. But look, Gus, I ain't got time to save right now. I got to do bob. Let's say you wait 10 years to save. You do the same thing. Look how much you end up, 41,000 bucks. So what did you do that was worth $10 million in those 10 years? It's real important to get started saving early, right now. Right now. The most important money to save is the money you save today. Decide to leave some of your savings in long term. That's why we're going to show you how to set goals, because you're going to set up accounts for each one of those goals. And one of the goals would be to have a certain amount of money for unplanned events that happen. But we've had some long-term money too. That makes sense? So get started, decide to leave it in long term, and then work with a professional to get the best returns as possible. Because now we're going to show you that rate of return. Next slide. Oh boy. This is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Man, he's a, I mean, I don't agree with everything he says, but man, he's got a lot of good things to say. He really does. He's got this simple book. It's a short book. It's only 20 pages. One of the kids in my church and I are going to read this book together. He wants to learn about investing and say, okay, let's start with this book. Very simple, 20 pages, right? So Dr. Watkins says, if you could save $5 a day, think about what costs $5. A Happy Meal, a McDonald's meal, something like that, $5. So that's $5 a day. That's $152.08 a month. Okay, next slide. Now we're going to compare. This looks better. It looks better than it did last time. Hopefully you can see this. We're putting it away for 18 years, right? 18 years, right? And on the left, at least my left, maybe it's your right, you put it in at 1% in a bank, right? It's 1% annually, and you put 152.08 every month. Look what your contribution is. You put in $32,849 over those 18 years. You got $3,000 in interest. You got $39,000 bucks. But what if you work with a professional and you get 8%? You get 8%. It's the same contribution. You see that? $32,849. But what happened? You got double that amount in interest. Whose money is that? It's called OPM, other people's money. That the investors allow people to invest. They took the 8%, they gave it to you. They also made some money. And now you got 70,000. What would you rather have? 70,000 or 35,000? Same time period, same amount of money put away. Okay, so let's say you do this for a child and they're 18 and they got 70 grand in their account. $70,000 in that child's account by putting away $5 a day versus giving them some kind of game or buying them some clothes. They need all that stuff, but they got enough of that. Next slide, real quick. Now, let's do it till they're 30 years old. Now, what are they about to do? Get married, buy a house, those kinds of things. If you put it in the bank at 1%, you put in $54,000. How much interest did you get? A little over 9 grand. You got 63 grand. Look over here. You put in the same 54,748 at 8%, but what's your interest? 159,000. Remember that compound interest we said? At 8%, it doubles every 9 years. Double. So double. Double once is 9 years. Double twice is 18 years. Double 3 times is 27 years. How long did you put away? 3 years. So your money doubled 3 times. You see how this concept works? And look where you're at. Oh my goodness. Now let's look at one more. Let's look at retirement. Let's look at 65. You put the same $152 a month in. You put in $118,000 over here on the left, and you end up with $166,000 and $700. Over here, you put in the same 118, but how much interest do you have? Look at that. Look at that. $3.3 million. Come on now. If you look back at your life, you could have squirreled away $5 a day, $152 a month. Couldn't you have done that? Yeah. Did you do that? Probably not. Why? You didn't have somebody like me hollering at you on the program you dialed in telling you to do it. 3.3 million bucks. 152. Now look, this is a basic investment, a rather safe investment. What's an investment? An investment is anytime you take an asset. What's an asset? Something of value that can make your money. Your time is an investment. Your money is an investment. Your ideas are an investment. And you take those and you put them into an activity that you hope to gain more than that asset cost you, or that if you'd invested in something else, you'd have got a return. You hope to get more out of this investment. It's called an opportunity cost. I could have taken this time, this money, whatever, and invested over here and got a riskless rate of return. I could have put it in CDs or a treasury bond or something where I know I'm going to get my money back. I'd have got 2, 3, 4%, something like that. But I'm hoping to get more in this investment. We all need to be investing, which is sowing seeds for the future. $3.3 million, y'all. That's 150 bucks a month. Everybody can do that. Everybody can do that. But the key is you got to start early. You got to be disciplined and leave it alone. And then you got to get a good rate of return. Okay? If you haven't done this, are there ways to catch up? Yep, we're going to talk about them in the workshop. Okay? So guys, I just wanted to go through this again and encourage you to come to the workshop in April, come to the workshop in March, and to start getting disciplined if you're not already about saving and investing. And if you are, do more. Do more. I haven't met the person that says, man, I wish I would have invested less or saved less. I haven't met that person. So you guys look forward to seeing you next week. Okay? Register. If we can go back, register for the Leading Lights training on March 10th through the 12th. He'll show you that QR code one more time. One more time, we'll show you that QR code. Please scan that QR code. Come to this event. You'll be happy you did. I guarantee it, man. You're going to be happy you came to it. So scan that QR code, register. Okay? I'll see the registrations now. Come on now. Register. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you next week. Financial Freedom Fridays. Share this, like it, pass it on. If you're getting some benefit from this, other people will too. Share it out, okay? Take care, guys. Is the workshop online? Yes, Sheila, it will be online. Yes, just like this. You can do it over Zoom. And we're going to give you a place you can go and download materials. You're going to be able to download materials for the workshop. Yes, ma'am. The workshop will be online. Yes, ma'am. Tell your friends. Registration will be soon. Both of these workshops are going to be online. Number 1 and number 2. Number 1 and number 2. They both are online. Okay? I encourage you to come. I'm going to be there. I'll see you. I'll see you there. Okay?